I think I should have read this 3 years ago before I came to Berlin, you know? Maybe that would have changed my path a little bit. But it's beautifully written, and I love the pictures beside it. Dreamless people must be fearless of death, careless of life, heartless and thoughtless of the known and the unknown, inside out, while nevertheless doubtlessly meaningless. Dreamful cities must be fearful of days, careful of nights, heartful and thoughtful of the loved and unloved through and through, while nevertheless doubtfully meaningful. Oh my God, I'm feeling so nostalgic for something that doesn't even exist, to be honest. I don't know. It's not home, it's not Ireland, but I think I'm feeling nostalgic for something that doesn't even exist, that I haven't experienced yet. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does to me.
Yeah? Like isolated.
Isolated and lonely, yeah, and just kind of not in the right place.
Really poignant. I really like it.
Dreamless people must be fearless of death, careless of life, heartless and thoughtless of the known and the unknown inside out, while, nevertheless, doubtlessly meaningless. Dreamful cities must be fearful of days, careful of nights, heartful and thoughtful of the loved and the unloved, through and through, while, nevertheless, doubtfully meaningful. One is saying that, when you have dreams, then there's also when there's no dreams, there's no fears. And I understand when you do have a lot of dreams, then it's the reality of the day that might make you, might be harsh on your dreams. The way we give meaning to things that might be meaningless, or the way we don't find meaning in things that are quite meaningful or important to our day-to-day.
That meaningless and meaningful and doubtless and doubtful in and of itself are interesting words, because we cannot even grasp these concepts, because nothing is completely doubtful or completely doubtless. Neither is anything meaningless or meaningful. The general ambivalence of being a human, that you always look for one thing when you have one, then when you have it you look for the next or the last.
Living life, you shouldn't be attached to what's happening. Like, it is what it is, and regardless of the results. And if you want to live fully, you have to accept to die.
Dreamless people must be fearless of death, careless of life, heartless and thoughtless of the known and the unknown, inside out, while nevertheless doubtlessly meaningless. Dreamful cities must be fearful of days, careful of nights, heartful, thoughtful of the loved and the unloved, through and through, while, nevertheless, doubtfully meaningful. This poem is about me, because I don't dream, a sort of emptiness that I feel. It's a very sad thing to be dreamless. It's a nice state to be in, when you're dreaming, then you're somehow protected or safe, I don't know.
I'm afraid that I might be a dreamless person, because I am 20 years old, I started uni, but I really don't know where I want to be going. I don't have one goal that I want to achieve in my life, and I'm actually worried about that, because there are so many things that you can achieve in life and that you can see in life, but what does it get you without that one dream? I feel touched by the truth that's behind it, actually, because of the concept of dreamless people and the fear that plans about my own dreams and the lack of them.
I think my mom is a dreamless person. She conquered all of her fears, but the way that she did it was to accept to fail, willing to fail and willing to go through everything that life brings.
I know absolutely so many dreamless people in my life, especially in my home country. Yeah,
I do.
Being dreamless person, that doesn't mean that they are not afraid from death. They just, they didn't have the opportunity to have a good life maybe. And this is why I agreed with the second paragraph, because I think cities make people, and maybe all of us think that we are creating the cities, but I think cities create us and influence us.
You know, you can have the bigger dream in an ocean than a lake. And it's like about the cities. In a small cities, you can have, you know, a little choice and a little, you know, not big dream, I think.
People are just different. I cannot say that dreamless people are blah 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 or not. But about the cities, I agree, because dreamful cities are very careful of nights actually.
Interesting, because I wish I could see a dreamful city, but usually when I'm in cities I feel the absence of dreams more. And I think something like a collective dream, if it doesn't go overboard naturally, instead of being fragmented and alone in your dreams or your ambitions, you can have a group of people. It doesn't have to be a whole city.
Wild night in Berlin, and I see partying people and a lot of problems, but they don't express the problems they have. And everyone is dancing on, and they are careful for expressing themselves, but they are also meaningful and have a lot of thoughts there.
Dreamless people are mostly those kinds of people who are pressured from the outside in a way, and
most of the members of my family are from the GDR, German Democratic Republic, a communist state. They cannot express themselves, or they had to repress themselves to live.
Sometimes maybe also in politics, I mean, we're standing here right next to embassies, we can be a bit dreamless at the moment.
Saying having no dream at all would really, I think, mean that your life is not really worth anything to you. Even though we might not really know what our dream is, what it is that we want, we still have this vision that might not be quite clear yet, but there is something, definitely.
And there's always desire. And then, so what is a dream? Is it a desire that you believe in and that you articulate in your mind? I mean, there are so many homeless people here, and I assume some of them have given up on articulated dreams, like say a dream they would say in an interview, but still they have desires for a better life, so they still dream.
Having a dream doesn't mean that you need to share it with everyone. It can also be just your own dream, and maybe you're afraid that it doesn't get true, so you're afraid to say it out loud.
I feel like it would be patronizing to say that anybody would be dreamless, because it depends on what we define as a dream. Sometimes people's choices aren't as big or extraordinary as others, and so for me to say like they don't have any dreams, I feel like would be insincere.
If you're not someone who dreams of something or has something in mind where you like want to be in the future, you don't really have a reason to fear death in a way, because you first want to get somewhere and you first want to achieve certain things. If you don't have these kind of goals in mind, you probably don't really have a reason to fear death. So that really touched me.
The people don't have dream, they kill himself and kill themselves, you know, because they don't interest in this life, you know.
I actually can't think of any dreamless people in my life. Everyone I know has kind of a dream or a target that they want to fulfill, and they know what they need to do to get there, but they're just in different stages.
Become a superstar in Afghanistan. I want to my freedom in Afghanistan. I want to going like this in my country. That's my dream.
How can I find myself in my life as a human? What means human?
Having a normal life is just a normal job, a home, safety, and freedom.
If I want to be a successful person, that means that I should influence the other lives and other people. It is for me very dreamy. Doing something good to others, I think it will be back to you.
I have dreams where I could live and where I could just be as much of myself as I possibly can, and through that also inspire other people to do the same.
Dreamless people must be fearless of death, careless of life, heartless and thoughtless of the known and the unknown inside out, while, nevertheless, doubtlessly meaningless. Dreamful cities must be fearful of days, careful of nights, heartful and thoughtful of the loved and the unloved through and through, while, nevertheless, doubtfully meaningful.
For some reason, it reminds me of the movie Her and Lost in Translation. This feeling of loneliness. We're all surrounded by people, and we're all lonely, and we're the most connected we've ever been, and yet we're all just lonely. That's what. Yeah, I just got this flash of a scene from Her and a scene from Lost in Translation. I can't really put it into words, but I
have not seen a movie or read a book that's really treating this subject with that emotional layer that you have created in your poem. I love the repetition and the contradiction in the words that you chose in the different verses, starting with dreamless and dreamful, with the kind of comparison that you have going on.
You somehow used very similar words in the two paragraphs, but it is the complete opposite meaning. And I also like the distinction between the people and the cities, because I think that you could also reverse it, that the cities are dreamless, but they are filled by dreamful people. So that's what makes the city in the end less dreamless.
The less, it's all thoughtless, it's all about lack. Nevertheless, doubtless, meaningless.
Not in the second part.
But not in the second part, so it switches.
This dynamic of the less and the full.
There's breaks within the lines as well, rather than just at the end. It means that you kind of have more time to pause and think about what's being said in each part of each line.
Ancient and contemporary at the same time.
We always look where we're not at, and we're always struggling to get somewhere.
Yeah, symmetrical, but it's contrasting. So this is like the invert of one image of a man facing one direction and then the same man facing another direction.
He's on the ground, he's down and out, but he's raising himself. He's peaking up, so he has this hopeful. So he's obviously downtrodden from the first stanza, but then in the second stanza he's pushing himself up, like he's raising. He's almost like, the Sphinx.
Means so many different things, but the fact that he's looking up could also show that he's still trying to reach his dream, especially now that I know that it's you, and I feel like you do have a dream since you're a poet, and you must have a vision creating your art.
The wish for a positive experience is in itself a negative experience, and the absence of a wish for a good experience is in itself a good experience.